Now we want to turn to the other Republican we've been talking about, Dr. Ben Carson. He joins us from Charleston. Dr. Carson, thank you. What do you make about your position in the polls?
Well, I'm gratified to see that so many people are actually starting to listen to what I'm saying and evaluating it on its merits as opposed to listening to what people have portrayed me as saying. It makes a big difference.
I want to talk to you about what Anthony and I were just talking about, what Donald Trump talked about, which is what are the attributes that make a president? And I'm not trying to create a fake fight here, but Donald Trump says that you have low energy, that he can make deals. What's your sense of that? Is he right? Are you too nice to be president?
Well, I don't think so. I don't think there's anything wrong with being nice. But you have to recognize that, my life is multifaceted. Growing up, having multiple jobs, experiencing every level, socioeconomic level in our country, spending multiple years in corporate America, 18 years on the board of Kellogg, 16 years on the board of Costco. You get an enormous amount of experience doing those things. Chairman of the Compensation Committee for a Fortune 500 company. And in fact, if you go back and you look at the compensation of the top executives, it was really very reasonable, nothing like what you were talking about in the previous segment. I have a lot of experience doing things, starting a national nonprofit, 9 out of 10 of which fail. Ours not only has not failed, it's working in all 50 states and has won major national awards that are only given to one nonprofit in the country a year. So, it's ridiculous to think that the only thing that I can do is neurosurgery. I find it quite humorous when people say, he's an idiot savant, he only knows neurosurgery. Just the fact that they would say something like that, they don't know what it takes to become a neurosurgeon. That's pretty idiotic itself.
You wrote this week about the importance of humility and how important that has been in your life. Why is it important for a president to have humility?
Because you need to be able to listen. One of the things that I've discovered throughout the many things that I've been involved in is that we have some incredibly talented people in this country. I just finished this morning talking to someone who's a cybersecurity expert and listening to all the things that they knew. It's just mind-boggling. And you have to be humble enough to be able to listen to other people and recognize that sometimes they might actually know more than you do and be able to integrate that. There's nobody who knows everything, but we have an incredibly talent-filled nation. And if we use our things appropriately, our strength is in our unity, not in our divisiveness. And everybody seems to think that whatever they do is the greatest thing. If you're a politician, only politicians can solve the problems. If you're a businessman, only businessmen can solve the problems. A lawyer, doctor, that's ridiculous. What we need to do is put our talents together, understand what our goals are, and then utilize all of our talents to accomplish them.
When you think of Donald Trump, is he humble enough to be president?
That will be a decision that the voters will make.
What's your thought on that?
As I said, I think I'm going to leave that up to the voters. I think that's the appropriate way to do it.
Let me ask you this about the voters, and particularly the donors. You have the highest number of people donating to your campaign of any of the Republican candidates. You talked about that and seemed to get a little emotional about it earlier this week. Tell us about that.
Well, I was talking about the kind of people who are donating to us. By the time the debate comes up, we'll be just under 500,000 donations, the average one being about $50. And some of those donors are on fixed incomes. And they write letters and they say, I can only give $25, but next month I'm giving $25 too. And, when I think about people being willing to sacrifice like that and what they've been through and what they think about the future of our country, there's no way that I can let those people down.
I want to ask you for a moment about immigration, which is, you've said that Donald Trump's plan for deporting those undocumented workers here is unrealistic. Is it unrealistic because it is unfeasible, or do you have a moral problem with that notion of trying to deport all the undocumented workers who are here?
No, I believe the logistics of it are difficult. As I said, I'm all ears. If somebody can tell me exactly how you can do that, I would certainly be interested in hearing it. But the fact of the matter is, our problem is that our federal government is not supporting the local authorities at the border. And it's disgusting what's going on, and people are risking life and limb just to have ICE come along and say, release those people. And that fence down there, I mean, when I was a kid, that barely represented any impediment whatsoever to our progress. It's ridiculous. And until we seal our borders, everything else is irrelevant. But let's say we get them sealed, because certainly in the Carson administration, that would be done within the first year. You would also turn off the spigot that dispenses the goodies, so that people don't have any incentive to come here. And then those who are here, you know, we have to recognize that we can't just round them up, but we can give them an opportunity to register. I would give them a 6-month period. And if they register and they have a pristine record, they haven't been causing problems, I would give them an opportunity to become guest workers, not citizens, not voting people, not people who get, you know, goodies. And I think that would be a fair way to do it. In terms of them becoming citizens later on down the road, if they've done things the right way, we, the American people, will decide what the criteria for that will be.
All right, Dr. Ben Carson, thanks so much for being with us. We'll be back in 1 minute to see how that Hillary Clinton-Bernie Sanders matchup is going in the key primary states.